is a global problem wherever we are, and we do need to be working together on it. But as an individual, sometimes, as we said earlier, it can feel overwhelming. So what can I do is always the big question. Well, now there are obviously all the obvious ones. Lots of people tell you all the time you can put up bird boxes. If you put them in a northwesterly direction, that helps because of the wind. You don't want them in too much sunlight. You want to make sure that they are within close to a space where there is cover for birds so they don't feel exposed when they're going in and out. So if they're next to a tree, that's a really good thing, or a bush, so they don't feel like they're going to get attacked by a cat when they come in and out all the time. Feed your birds. This is a goldfinch with some sunflower hearts. I feed all my birds sunflower hearts. They really love it. I think I spend, well, I don't know, more money on sunflower hearts than I do anything else throughout the course of a month. I feel like I feed most of the New Forest, to be totally honest, but I'm not complaining. It's great. And these are all things we can do to help our garden species. We can put in hedgehog highways, which is great. You can knock on your neighbour's door and say, hey, have you heard about a hedgehog highway? Why don't we put one in? Hedgehog highway is simply a small gap in your fence. It allows hedgehogs to move through from your garden to the next garden. It allows them to find food, it allows them to find water, it allows them to find mates, which is really important. So we need to be opening our gardens up with little holes in the bottom to allow animals to be able to move through so they can make the most of all available space. So hedgehog highways are a really good way of getting involved. Hedgehog houses are great. Give them a place to hibernate or give them a place to rest. Put down some cat food and some water, not milk, not bread. Those are pretty bad for wildlife, so never put those two things out. But water and cat food is a really good thing for hedgehogs. But I would argue the biggest thing you can do is be an activist. Now, there's lots of things you can do in your garden to make wildlife more comfortable. You can give it a home there, all really important things, and we can all take advantage of that and do that to the very, very best of our ability. What I've started to say when people ask me the question of what can I do, the biggest and most important thing you can do is use your voice. Find your voice, question people, ask what's wrong, why aren't they doing it this way, and have your opinions known. Don't be afraid to use your voice and ask for change. So earlier on you said about 40% of you said you're an activist. I'm going to ask you to put your hands up again in a minute. This person here, I was originally at the beginning when Extinction Rebellion were in the streets of London in 2019. I went to a couple of their events. This is a person getting arrested. He's going off to jail for sitting in the road to try and protect climate. Is he an activist? Arms up if he's an activist. Everyone, pretty much everyone. Not quite everyone. So about 80%. Okay, interesting. Normally that hits 100. Okay, this girl over here, she is doing her PhD and she is studying how clams are changing in rivers because of warming temperatures. Is she an activist? A little bit less, I'm not so sure. Okay, I'd say about 50, right? This lady here, she's a nurse. She doesn't really know much about wildlife, but she feeds the birds in her garden. Is she an activist? Well, I gave away the game in the beginning, didn't I? It's about 20% of you, I suggest there. And this little boy here, he wants to understand the makings of the universe. Not really sure about climate, he's more interested in daydreaming about the stars. Is he an activist? I'd say about 1%. Got 2 hands up. Okay, so maybe about that. Well, I would argue that everyone is an activist in their own right. We're all living beings, we all make an impact on our planet every single day, and when we wake up in the morning, we get to decide what kind of impact that's going to be. Are we going to leave behind something positive, or are we going to leave behind something that's the same as yesterday, or perhaps even a little bit worse? We get to make that decision with our everyday choices, and we get to empower and inspire others by talking and engaging with other people to make similar choices, to move in a direction. I think everyone that has an impact on their environment can be classed as an activist. Whether you feed the birds, you are actively changing that environment. You are an activist. We need to reclaim what that word means. When I told my university lecturer that I wanted to campaign and be involved in activism, he did raise an eyebrow to me. And I always remember the look on his face, because actually I wear my badge of activism with a massive feeling of pride. I think it's really important that we all are all activists and we reclaim that word, because that word for a long time has meant that we're troublemakers, or you are going against the grain, or being a little bit naughty if you're an activist. That is not the case whatsoever. You are standing up for what you believe in and doing it in the right way, in your own way, is really, really important. Everyone's got different ideas, everyone's got a different way of being an activist, and that's great. But as long as more people are taking action towards the right direction, then the world is going to be a better place than yesterday. Right, I'm aware that I've gone on